It all belongs to the world. Inside again, so many things in the world. Depends on the dark world. Is one of them. The dark world must be a relatively small world. In the dimensions of the world, there's some extremely giant world dimensions. It's also full of danger. Even deep in, former ghosts before Kier attack the owner. It is from the depths that the world is summoned. Except for the world. There is snow in the world. To the world. Lava world. Inside the wide world, master. You can get out into the world. The same world dimension that millions of emperors dwell is to call these powerful creatures. In the next world dimensions, most creatures listen to the summons. But there are also a few creatures that don't listen. The photographer stood up and said, "There's something about this level. I was lucky to fix it. That we've brought with us. Stay away for a while." He took out a vase. It's blowing out white smoke. Retreat squats ass sitting in chair. Then blow it to the smoke. Stick dong medicine, key drugs. It is possible to love the blood to restore its magical power later. That's when he spilled this. It just died. It's on the spindle. Just recited the mantra. Suddenly, the shaft lit up. Illustration inside that display. The photographer picked up the perfect repair. What would 6 books be? A moment later, the photographer commented, "They're all elemental systems, or axis power system function." Now to the most important thing. He glanced at the dagger trees. Pick it up quickly to take a good look. It is very old indeed. The reason is not wrong. I don't know what the meaning of these words is. Immediately poured into the soul. Then suddenly, the dark tree burst into flames. It startled him. He stood still. The dark tree is now hovering in the air, emitting a flaming gas source. There are 2 strange words. Regressive realize non-attribute material. But there is fire. This must be the effect of manifestation. The ancient text means chain inflammation. Maybe this is the name of the 3 slingshot. And then he took out the other 2. That poor soul force into. Immediately 2 flashes of gas. It also quickly shows up on one side. The other is the broken chain. He said, "But non-stick attributes are not the same." It seems to be the work of a great teacher. At the absolute level of transmission is called the Z-Bow. The angel drew his sword despite his strength. But it's not a creature of this world. We're now 1,000th of its power. I can't bring out Ra either. This dagger is the weapon of this world. We can at least stop turning 6 into its power. He likes to say. Finally, there's some body stuff. Every day in the dark world, everyone is still the same living as usual. Every day we fight for survival. This evening, it's the appointed time of the Regency. With the people who stopped. 2 people walking on the street. At this time, the real sword power is the Black Kim Peak. And the 6th monk is the most golden star. Suddenly from a distance, there was a yelling at the old man. "If you take Lao Tzu's things, I will beat you to death." This attracts photographers. He was curious to see it. Mr. Chen wished into the crowd to see the incident. Then I saw a big, strong guy who was mad. To a feeble old man with only a dry skeleton. The bald head grabs people. The old man came and was about to throw a punch, saying he wanted to die. But surprisingly, when the old man calmly raised his feet, the gentle kick comes. It makes the bald head pale. And then his big body fell over the beam. Extremely painful, so the land is smoky. He's lying there with his head groaning. The old man threw his feet on his face and fell to the ground. makes the bald man clam his head. The men next to him hurriedly called out to him. This old man is not simple. It could very well be the master. We don't need to pay attention to him. The bald head is a spicy owl, but also send cold turn to say bad luck. The old man simply left. In front of every look around, the photographer looked at me wondering. The fight is over. When the old man passed him, then suddenly I was terrified, realized that gas is scary. This is murder. How many lives to kill? You can have such a weapon. This old man's strength was at least a miracle transmission. The old man turned, looking at the photographer. Make him flutter in his mind about danger. In my power now. If this old man comes out, I must have died without a doubt. I don't know what he looked at me for. I'm still very excited about it. Like the old man now. Ignore people turn away. Suddenly, he glowed his eyes and muttered endlessly. Endlessly hydrophobic. Love it and laugh it off. It makes you stand still. Look at the old man gone. But Li was still standing there. The rain is falling now. The sword on one side. Asked the owner who discovered what SAO. The photographer spoke out just now that the head keyer is a master. It's much stronger than non-translation. The sword says, I also feel. I just didn't know he was coming. Strong to what kind of level? Not to mention the ancient war. Even through to the dungeon. This world is so dangerous. If the power has not reached the level of Black Kim, I really don't want to be in this place. This world, maybe there's a lot of false positives. So that humanity can be under the mouth. Countless lovers of survival. It's time to say too. Who quickly went to the burning world. The soldiers are still on guard here. The regent grinned and announced that the game had begun. On the electric side, private does not translate serious unpleasant face protection. I don't know when I'll be back. Suddenly, my black sister startled. He dropped the cup of tea in his hand. She stammered with fear, begging Lord Shin. I didn't mean to. She hurried her head down to pray. Don't squint and tell him to stand up. When you look up, if you can't talk, eat now. A slap in the neck from him. Small body, he flew straight into a nearby pole and fell unconscious and sat on a raft on the ground. Do not translate orders. You didn't drag her out. Two soldiers immediately took orders to drag her out. At the same time, the Red Moon came to see it. Ask the father. People who are not good at doing SAO. He replied, Red Moon, you say, boy. I'm sure this isn't lying to me. My body is weak every day. Hang Yuan reassure, my father will definitely bring me the medicine. As long as his friends are in our hands. Suddenly, a rumbling sound came. Palace for the island. The shaking was so violent that he couldn't move. He screamed in panic. What's going on? He could feel the tree breaking apart. The enemy is about to attack the palace. Come on, guards, prepare to fight. The other trees also exploded. The explosion echoed through the forest. Nearby worlds look at the scene before them. It's like fireworks on New Year's Eve. Ask each other what's wrong with medicine. The smoke is terrible. As far as I can see another name. Ask not to translate. Marry your daughter on the financial side. Continuous bursts of explosion. Make the soldiers just log out. Countless survivors. He jumped into the lake to escape. The guy whose name was burned up his ass and ran around. Hurry down into the lake. Then breathed a sigh of relief. But life is not a dream. Suddenly, under the lagoon, the water is rising. It makes everyone stare in wonder. Immediately, a boom is heard, causing soldiers to splinter. The soldier had his ass burned. They also screamed bitterly. Who the hell would put violent God at the bottom of the pond? While the photographer was hiding in the grass, laughing happily. He can't explode in the water. We're using bullies. There's a difference. It's whatever it's engraved on. Once it's lead, it can cause an explosive effect. The photographer told the sword, "Let's go." Makes the sword full of wonder. Just ask them to go into the bathroom. But the photographer replied, "Of course," and rushed straight to. One of the soldiers saw it and screamed, "Stop." It's like an instant explosion. The soldier was lying flat on the ground unconscious. At this time, the 6 people are also coming. He threatened to kill me. The way of photography is great. Follow the route together. An opponent does not encounter on the way. The bodies of the soldiers are countless. Immediately, a burst out. Make 6 adventure jerky shoot people. Park trash reminded of fire everywhere. Let's go, and we're all in a hurry. Over here, 2 untranslated father and son are faltering. I think this is the magic. But I don't see anything wrong. As soon as he finished speaking, suddenly, the fire came out. Do not rush to stop. A burst of energy raw. To stop the fire. Fortunately, this trick makes your father safe. In the smoke. Red on one side wondering. I asked my father what happened in the end. Private, not translated, realize this has something to do with drag. Red Moon suspect or ask questions about Sao. How could he? But I don't speak coldly. It seems that I have despised this boy. Pink really remembers that. His friends are still in our hands. But you can't fly away and say no. It was destroyed by a fire. They must have moved in together. I lead the pursuers. Find the rest of the elders. Hold the territory carefully. Other families rushed in. Whether we find it or 3 hours later, we'll be back. He said he launched. That's why Red Moon listens. Hurry to spread your wings. But they didn't know that. The photographers are hiding under the tree. Looking at the fish child full of questions, asked the photographer. We're hiding in the woods like this. The photographer explained, I can't believe we've run away. They'll send men to the wilderness to chase us. A flat piece that can't hide. It's easy to get sent away. Today, the World Bank has suffered heavy losses. The opposing worlds absolutely do not wait. The World Bank is slowly restoring its. There will definitely be action. Then the World Bank will not be free. We're not late. Laughing Park, Trach, haha. It's unfortunate that you don't have any money. The fisherman looked at the photographer and praised him. Everywhere, the photographer is calm. Make him stupid. When I look back, I am now blushing. Suddenly, the photographer remembered. Something ran out. The nurse asked the photographer where he was going. Don't worry, he said. I'll be back for a while. People must be careful. Don't let others see it. The sword was quietly watching. The photographer used the imagery to leave. Meanwhile, the mine was not affected by the explosion. They are not afraid to give orders. If anyone dares to kill without mercy, 8 slaves clawed and screamed out the World Bank. Life. Let us go in private without shouting order for us. But the slaves are screaming for freedom. It makes you not feel hot. He used ROI to beat it down. It has injured countless people. The rest of you are terrified too. They say that slaves also demand freedom. The soldiers now raise their weapons. The tiger threatened to return to me. I can't stand the cold right now. Look at the fire burning. But secretly thinking about the ultimate arising. The enemy power must have attacked the family as territory. The top of the palace was destroyed. The enemy is really strong. If our family is defeated, it's considered dangerous. The photographer is also watching from a distance. Silently assess the situation. Golden rank has 10 people. There are more than 200 in total. Then he saw that there was a tower. Maybe the central area. Miners in this place are all beaten up slave signing. The poet must be an illusionist. The Red Cross talks about the miner. Go away from the mine and die. So, poetry writers are most likely among the Kier guardians. They decided to kill him, and the slaves freed him. He immediately used the illusion that he rushed away. He flashed past the soldiers. Fly straight through. He is not giving orders to his followers. Make him feel something and shoot people. He hurried his sword into the air. Ask who? But a second later, when there's no AI, he asked me if I felt wrong. He feels a bit rural. He turned to his followers. After the territory is attacked, we are too urgent. Meanwhile, the photographers launched to the tower. Thinking after the damage moves slowly. Is still felt by the fake golden power. Suddenly, the next door made a noise. One of the soldiers inside opened the door and shouted for change. The opportunity to escape disappeared into the air. And then gently launch inside. When you get inside, he was surprised that inside was a spiral. There are 2 guards inside. And he's good with them, and he goes up. At the speed of the wind. He quickly made it up to the tower. At the top of the tower, at this time, he is the 3rd-class writer. They're sitting 8 things together. There's a problem with a guy named Bao Enjian. What should we do? What should we fear? Everywhere a writer goes, he doesn't worry about no food. World Bank Group 7 defeat. We will find another owner. The photographer stuck his head up and looked around. I can see that there are a few signs here. I think the Golden Queen is very careful. Defend this building like a turtle's shell. Fortunately, we managed to sneak in here. Outside killing people. It will be discovered by the wind. They closed the entrance. Only a few wizards can protect this entire tower. Until then, even the fake Black Kim couldn't enter. Is an intelligent writer. Again engraved on how many slave miners signed. That's right. 1,000 times you shouldn't have touched me. So the regent started drawing bags of dust from Ra's blood. And then he goes straight downstairs. It's painted every corner. Then you can feel it. It's just based on the 10 words. It's not enough to break the power. It's just a little bit of a shock on the inside. In the moment, suddenly, a young man felt it. Someone rushed up to close the tower. But when the door is closed, the fire inside goes straight up. Light up this place. There's a lot of noise inside. With the screams of 7 cities. The soldiers below wanted to open the door. It can't be opened. The photographer on one side grinned slightly. He looked ahead and said, "The library has been destroyed by me. Next, inflammation begins." When he finished, suddenly, the tower shook violently. It's not good to make the smoking guard scream. And just as I finished, there was an explosion. Made 2 soldiers fall on their faces. When I turn my head and look, then the tower is now like a rocket being launched. Just launch into space. The next second, it's like a fireworks display. The photographer watched from a distance. The soldiers on the ground are all terrified. When the distortion understands what's going on. I don't feel that way. I asked the guards above, "What's wrong with the slaves below?" I can feel the VI coming back. Hurry up and check out. It was amazing to find that the seal had been lifted. I can't help but wonder what the joke is. The people inside have a lot of silver. Even the Golden Knight is in big trouble. More, they've been in contact with chimpanzees for years. After release is sealed, I don't know what level the fighting will be. Right now, the slaves stared at them full of murder. I don't want to panic, damn it. How can something happen? As soon as he withdrew, he was terrified. When the slaves are leopards galloping with the word kill. They are not in a hurry to get to the center. Then swing your sword and tell him to get out. But he's twisted. What is it when they get back the VI? They came and broke him. The slaves are like murderous, aggressive beasts. Made the soldiers afraid. Hurry up and tell each other to get back there. People run away in a hurry. The photographer is now wriggling in. The slaves looked around for Kier's grandson. But I thought I might have run away. The slaves who have been freed should return. But suddenly, the voices screamed 7 cities. Make the photographer amazing. I quickly turned around and looked up. When the whole gang is being brutally massacred, I'm on my way. By a man with white wings. With a sharp sword. It was the Red Moon that appeared. She spoke up. A bunch of petty slaves. Dare to be in the field of medicine. My family does it. She came with the soldiers. Stand creative with a blade in your hand. On the ground are countless bodies lying in place. Red Moon announced, "Do not one of you escape today." In a spicy crowd. When you see the pink moon. The other slaves were very worried. When the Golden Master was killed like that. Now she's making a statement. The same goes for writing that disappears. I will destroy you. This makes the slaves scream anxiously. Not good. As the blade falls. The slaves made the AI scream. And then suddenly, from among these screaming people. Red Moon has not seen you for a long time. The Red Moon made the blood madman realize that. Of course, it is you. She stared at you and asked you what your ultimate goal was. Like a grin. Then jump off and tell this one to sit down. Talk slowly. Something. Looking at your hand, there seems to be a lot. So don't bother anymore. Make the Red Moon scream with blood. Staring at the slaves in the cold. They make them shiver like dogs. Red Moon only chose to fly to get a photographer. Make the soldier cover his face. You call Red Moon. Sir, wait. But she just flew away. They make people lose their protection. Without crying out loud. There was an immediate chase of tigers from the slaves. Rise up on the side of the regent. Now he's running across the forest with his ass bent. Red Moon also follows behind. Fast forward to the family border. What is his ultimate conspiracy? That is, she fluttered her wings raw, said no matter what the plot. He pulled out the flaming sword in his hand. It amazes the photographer when her speed suddenly sped up again. Red Moon immediately threw down the slash. Tell me to stand still, running all the way. When the slash comes out, the lightning stops. Quickly drew out Angel Still sword to block the blow. When swinging the sword, Cho Hong Moon was knocked out. Make her a bitter cold. Deep thought, this boy actually made Sao so strong. So quickly approached me. The photographer has now landed on the ground. He laughed and told me to meet him. How barbaric can you marry? Suddenly, he was surprised to feel the strong air. Information has come, of course. The Red Moon landed on the ground. Boy, I look wrong. I don't think about your VI. It has reached the golden level. Already said, she laughed and then turned out the power of fire. When the tide rises, something happened to the lady today. Still have to die here. The photographer looked at, recognized the NDTO low-level physical training inflammatory chain. He calmly said, your opponent is not me. Finish listening to this sentence. It makes Red Moon feel bad. Suddenly in front of her was a powerful gas. Makes Red Moon full of wonder. The photographer's stork had a pale smile on its lips. The shadow of the sword in the smoke gradually appeared. The wings of the sword spread out with the air of the Great Way. Make the Red Moon amazing, not only. The sword now with the flaming sword in the hand. Cool to go to, claiming your opponent is me. The moon's pink face. He thought his anger was terrifying. Let us bring him to do something with him. Turned to blame the photographer. That day, we should not trust your benefactor. We trust you. You reported us like this. I was surprised to ask you what you are grateful for. I just want to cheat the medicine from my hand. If you trust me, because SAO still holds my friends. You and I have no hatred. You should still find the owner to talk to. The sword gripped the black inflammatory sword in the hand. For not Pink Moon. You killed my parents so that I could be humiliated. Today I will avenge and kill you. Will we find private? The book thief. The sword came straight at her. But she dodged the blow. Then there's a provocative smile. To provoke the sword to speak. Your mother doesn't know. It's a question of leading foreigners to be executed. As a convenience for, she's such a woman. Should strip off their clothes inside the street mocking them. Make the sword hot. I kept insulting my mother. You must die. This is exactly what Red Moon wants. She thinks the sword is untrained. Just stimulate him a little. It'll make him mess around. This class also wants to kill me. And that's right. The blows of the sword. The Red Moon can be avoided. She laughed and said it was over. But when the slash came, just tore the clothes of the sword, and the flesh is unharmed. The Red Moon is confused. Suddenly, he gave his bare hands, hold on to her sword, and slash it down with the black inflammatory sword. See this? Red Moon hurriedly released the sword in his hand, and you can dodge 90 degrees. But the sword immediately swung the shot. Cho Hong knew it. Squirt against the tree. She fell a painful fall. Make the photographer here exclaim. In terms of the sword is not equal to the opponent. It's basically impossible to touch. Not Pink Moon. Because it's immediately and deliberately exposed the flaw. Red Moon is injured and lying down. The sword is very well known. Take advantage of its advantages. Take advantage of yourself quickly and the fight. The sword came down from above and said to die, while rushing people too. Then suddenly, the photographer realized someone was coming. The three Black Kim men rushed to the sword. Immediately, then he pulled out the sword in his hand. Then he called out the sword. In the moment, when the sword is close to the moon, then in the back appeared three fierce men. When he's about to strike, he suddenly ate a punch in the chest. The guy also eats quickly. The dagger of the photographer launched raw. He was immediately taped to the tree by a dagger. The sword was punched and fell to the ground. The guy who got hit immediately returned to the coffin's team. The photographer looks at it and thinks, with my strength, at the moment, I can only use the knife. Just this chain. He's so excited about it. The real power is much higher than the fake Black Kim power as we are. Immediately attempted murder. The other two. To support the non-pink moon. Then look at your partner and be amazed. What are you asking? Kia replied that the master withdrew first. They quickly left and the sword here. Aka hugged her chest and told her not to run away. As the photographer appeared, stop saying you don't have to chase anymore. Two Black Kim fighters. We are not their opponents. Moreover, the translation is definitely coming soon. I couldn't go until then. The bitter sword that sighed dejectedly. Then the photographer left immediately. A few hours later, he didn't return. He looked at the bodies on the ground. But extremely, I was so mad that I threw a cold punch. The punch rushed straight into the trunk of the old tree and exploded. I don't think it's hot. This hatred cannot be ignored. Sooner or later, I will find you and tear you to pieces. At this time, the Red Moon came to speak to the father. It's not just trash. There is also a sword that surprised me. She said more. Now, the sword was no less than Black Kim. And then I couldn't help it either. One of his tricks. Make the mind not quiet. And gave orders for correction. Was sure. The other families will have the opportunity to prepare. Application war. Here's the photographer. He's going to his hiding place. I can feel the war starting. Other countries at the same time make it difficult to finance the world. They don't have time to find us. Should go home. 6 size that long. We can finally go. I'm still a child. Why are people chasing you all the time? Hearing this makes a whole bunch of people. He thought before. After the Dark Guild opened the ancient battlefield, where the Epididymis was suddenly attacked. I always don't understand. After love, destroy the city of Kwangwi Dark Guild. Where to go? The Holy Father's barley is much more dangerous in the city. Now I understand. They asked for the old war. Into the world of darkness. They can attack there. They can even use the power of the natives. At SAOIP wearing master, it doesn't take people into the world of darkness. Maybe only he knows. So we all started back together. While on a scholarship, 6 stumbled because they felt the terrifying pressure. I looked at the stela and realized that's it. Photographer laughed softly. Say that? I'm sure we're not far from the battlefield. Continue to carefully enter the chain of attack demons. Suddenly, someone showed up. The photographer looked at it as if he had been sprayed. Who goes to? That's an old man he met in town. He went to talk about infinity. endlessly hydrophobic. I was surprised at what the old man said. When I asked the photographer, he laughed. Tell me I don't know either. In my mind, if he's actually one of the heirs of the great unknown, why would you dare to reveal your identity like that? Not afraid of being chased by other heirs, Sao? Does he want to destroy us directly? The old man stood laughing hee. He glanced at the photographer and continued to talk endlessly. Infinite hydrologic, ridiculous. Then a guy laughed and mocked ha 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 he hi. Suddenly, the laughter is loud. It's accompanied by the gas that comes out. It amazes the photographer. I want to play Sao. Hurry up with your hands. But suddenly, after that laughter, the old man suddenly cried who then curled his ass and ran away crying. To make the photographer breathe a sigh of relief, I think Ra is just a crazy person. I don't know. Why did he appear in front of us? 2 times now, we keep it a secret. It is safe for the time being. Even if it's like that, we also have to move quickly. If you don't meet the other 4, there is only one way to die. Think about here. He took the stones and threw them into battle. Quickly, the pillars appeared to light up. The photographer recognized it and started it. 6 of them said they could finally come back. When he's done, he jumps out. Where for the snow behind this call? Wait for me, but 6 of them are already gone. And Regency when it comes to the border. Suddenly, he looked to the side. Say the sword. If you stay, we will not stop you. This is your home anyway. Like a sword. From the moment my parents died, the sword has no intention. Master, give me a new life. Give me hope for revenge. I swear I will follow you, the owner said, and he walked across the border. The photographer thought, why not bear the blood of the enemy? Come back. Then turned to stop talking. Let's go too. He said he went to the border. The little boy now seems to have some regrets. Go back and talk quietly. If I could stay in this world forever. It's good to know. Even if the world is dark. How cold is it? Having a photographer here also feels warm and reliable. But that's just my imagination. She said she quickly walked in. The cardboard sighed. He's enjoying the cold right now. I said it's finally done. In front of them. It is the perfect battle spirit. The Thai army is already very good. I don't know how strong the Holy Spirit is. That photographer boy. He is also known as the God of Light. Last time ignored. The priest said that sometimes the regent likes to do things casually, but it's also very reliable. Whether it's knitting medicine or disposition of thousands of love spirit battle, all because of Kwong Wee Kai City that devoted a lot. Leave cardboard statement. Protecting Kwong Wee Kai City is the meaning. The other thing is the details. Except for my daughter Ra. But where did this kid run off to? He replied that he had appeared in the academy before. And beat your son. But suddenly, he's missing. I sent people to find a lot of places, but they don't see any signs. Worried about asking is not. Before I finished, someone came to the newspaper. To become the master of the soul. The mayor is waiting in the city hall. That makes these 2 people confused. In the hall when I heard the news of the photographer. Death also came immediately. He was glad to see her. I was in such a hurry to get here. It's not about me. But next to him, I stopped. His face is a little uncomfortable. When she saw her eyes, she hurriedly turned her head. It startled the photographer. He hurried in the way to ask,